Hi, Stuart.
Yes. Hello?
I think two of us started to speak at the same time. I'll ask a question. The question that came up, or rather the word that came up for me, like as a general question, beliefs. And can you speak, Stuart, to the role beliefs has in our practice?
The role of
Or
who?
whatever comes up around the role beliefs that we
Belief.
have in our belief, yeah.
Well, that's a complicated question, Wendy. First of all, it doesn't matter what religious belief you have, because I don't teach religion. I teach a technique, a craft of how people can use that craft to learn to open to God, to higher energy in the universe. This is not Hinduism, it is not Buddhism, it is not Christianity, it's not Judaism, it's not Baha'i, or it's no institutionalized religion. So a belief in whatever religion you believe in is irrelevant to, building a system inside yourself. In fact, if you build that system, you will go very deeply into the religious beliefs that you have, and you will be able to find the essence of those religions, not all the dogma that has come down over thousands of years, prescribing ways that people are supposed to live, and mostly just keeping them living in traps. But the essence of Christianity, the essence of Judaism, the essence of Hinduism, the essence of Buddhism, right back to its inception of all these religions. And whatever your belief is, this meditation will take you to the source of these religions, and not to all the dogma that, as I said just before, that has been created over thousands of years, which tries to tell people how to live and what they should eat and how they should, who they should sleep with and all this other stuff that goes on in religions. So, it's a twofold answer. Doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are. The only thing that matters is that you learn the craft. You build a chakra system. You develop a connection with God. And in that connection, it will take you right to the source of whatever religious beliefs you have. And that really is the place to be. Not in a world of dogma, in a world of, people wielding power and using religion to do it, but right to the source of religion, to what created it in the first place. And, and that, frankly, is the same place for every single religion. They all go back to that place. So belief, the only belief one should have is that you want a spiritual life and you can attain it. And all the rest of it will just take place. I can't tell you how many Muslim experiences, Islamic experiences I've had in this meditation, how many Judaic experiences, Christian experiences I've had, Buddhist and Hindu experiences I've had. And all of it crosses the boundaries and gets right to the source of these religions. And I'd much rather be there than, swimming around in all the dogma and wondering, are they controlling me? What do they do? And forcing me to believe things that create a prison for myself. So belief is important. You understand? But it's the belief in yourself that you as a human being were born here to truly become one with God. And then the religious things will take care of themselves, And more than anything, you will attain what I'm talking about, a connection with the source of all religion. And I think that connection is very important, because that really is a connection with God. And it's not only the source of religion, it's the source of all creation. I mean, in this meditation, you can very well be an atheist. It doesn't matter. You can be an agnostic. It really doesn't matter. The only thing you have to recognize is you have tension and you have blocks and you have problems that are keeping you from being happy. And there's something inside you that wants to get over them. Other than that, it doesn't matter what anyone believes. And even agnostics and atheists and people like that, I mean, they're racked with tension. You talk about stress. I mean, they want me to do a talk at the JP Morgan Chase to, chief financial officers around the world are going to be at the Zoom talk. And they want me to talk about mastering stress. And one of the first questions they asked my daughter, God bless her, will the talk be about religion? They didn't want it about religion. I told her to tell them that I don't teach religion, I teach a craft that enables a human being to master their inner self and to learn how to transform the things that are killing them into life-giving energies. I hope that's clear because, I don't know how better to put it, frankly. I mean, and it's an important subject because, look, I'll tell you a story. I had a student many years ago, many years ago, and I was living on, 4th Avenue in New York. And he was a very religious Jewish guy. He used to come to class wearing yarmulkes and tefillin and all the panoply that religious Jewish people wear. And he came for 2 or 3 months. And then one day he came up to me and he said to me something that just broke my heart. He said, Stuart, all my life, I have been looking for a way to get to learn the Kabbalah. What you teach is the closest thing I've ever found to anybody that teaches the Kabbalah. Now, the Kabbalah is the mystical Jewish aspect of the Judaic faith. And he said, you get about as close to it as anybody I've ever met. And I've studied with a lot of rabbis. He said, but Stuart, I have to stop coming to your class. And I looked at him and I said, why? He said, if my community finds out I'm doing this, they will not only evict me, but my wife and my family from the community. And to me, it was horrible. It was horrible that people need to control other people in a way that only their dictates allows them to live. And I looked at the guy and I said, God bless you. I wish you all the miracles of life. And I hope, that somehow you can get past this. I never saw this person again. And when he told me this, he had a tear in his eyes, like he had really found something that he had been looking for all his life. And the belief system of his community forced him to, also you could say, well, he could have said, well, fuck you, and I'm going to just do this. But then he had a wife and 3 children that he had to support. And it's how, these sects, they cripple people. They control people. And it just broke my heart when that happened. Because this man had such good classes and he had such an amazing depth in himself. And I have to leave because I'm going to get kicked out of my community. I have to live on the streets. That's dangerous belief. And that's belief that has nothing to do with God. It has only to do with a way of controlling other people, power over other people. But the belief in oneself, that one is a child of God, and that one will build an inner life that is strong enough to be able to fulfill that journey, which will get them to a state of spiritual. That's an important belief. And that has nothing to do with religion and religious belief.
I wasn't even thinking of religion when I asked that, so that was really
You
great.
have to speak up. I can't hear
Oh,
you.
sorry. I said thank you, Stuart. Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
I said thank you. I was not even thinking of religion when that word came up because I don't practice a religion, but that was a really beautiful answer and it gave food for thought. So thank you.
You're welcome, Wendy. Thank you for your questions. God bless you. They open up areas of myself that are very important. Things, to share, to give, to help all of you, hopefully, in your spiritual development. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Yes. Hi, Stuart.
Hi.
At the end of Thursday's class, Isabel was trying to ask you a question about her. She didn't get a chance. There was feedback about her inner work and the feeling of not ever doing enough. I got to sit on that for a few days.
Well, look,
And I don't think we ever can really do enough. I see you working hard all the time. You never settle.
well, part of the way you get to God is you don't do enough. Most people, they're satisfied with, maybe 2 of these classes a week, 3 of these, but they don't, you really have to do enough. I mean, God bless Isabel. She does so much for me that it's just totally staggering. And it comes from so much gratitude in her that this meditation has simply given her her life. And it's unconditional, which is a staggering thing. And it never stops. That's why she's here with me, because it never stops. Unconditional gratitude, love, giving that way, and receiving an enormous quantity of energy because she's willing to do that. Most people, a couple of classes a week and they go about their business, and, they're doing a disservice to themselves. You can never do enough. I learned that from Rudy. I spent 6 years around a person who never did enough. I've spent my life trying to never do enough. I've had lapses. I get tired. I say, fuck it, who needs this anymore? And then God comes down and smacks me over the head. You need it. You need to live a life where you don't do enough in the service of higher energy in the universe. And that's not only for me, it's for all of you, because it's the day you start taking this for granted, the day you get satisfied is really the end of your spiritual growth. I mean, God bless Isabel. I remember the day I met her and what it was like. It was staggering, And if you're all interested in finding out, she and I wrote a book together of letters that we shared with each other. There's 160 letters that shows the evolution of this young woman's life and growth. And you can get it from Amazon. It's called, I don't know, I forgot what it's called.
Darkness to light.
Yeah, From Darkness to Light.
It's a beautiful book.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary book, which would inspire anybody that reads it. Even her father came up to me and we had lunch about a week ago in Connecticut. And with almost tears in his eyes, he said, God bless you, Stuart. You've been more of a father to my daughter than I have been. I mean, it sent shivers through me. I mean, for a man to have that kind of humility, it was staggering,
Beautiful.
But that's what happened by not giving, by never doing enough.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I mean, these are very important questions, you know, and I'm grateful that I can share with you answers to these questions, you know, because I think they truly affect all of us in the way we live and what we're willing to do to have a spiritual life.
I have a
even,
question.
you know, even financial stuff, you know, when I started doing this, you know, Tony asked me to, I wasn't even going to charge anyone, you know, Tony said, no, you got to do this. I said, okay, Tony, charge them $5 minimum for a class. I
Right.
figured that, I mean, anyone who can't pay $5 for one of these classes, which are a complete miracle, that person really has problems. Serious, not just financial problems, psychological problems, emotional problems. They're crippled inside if they can't pay $5 for a class like this. And there are a lot of people who don't contribute anything. And I said, okay, they'll grow and they'll learn, but they get satisfied in not contributing, that they can attend the class for nothing. So nothing in them goes deep enough to say, I got to give something back. How the hell am I going to get what I need to get to God? $5? Holy shit. You know, it's ridiculous for a class like this. It's priceless. And I don't care. It's not the money that I care about. It doesn't do anything to change my life. It's wanting people to grow up, to get strong, to build and say, thank you, not just lip service, thank you endlessly, but contributing something, because the money doesn't mean anything to me. What am I going to, you know, $5? So I get, you know, some hundreds of dollars every month. You know, it doesn't change my life, but it changes somebody's life to be able to say, I can really grow or I can contribute something. I can't take it for granted and live here like a cripple the rest of my life, you know, because I'm so frightened of financial things. I don't know how to earn a living. If you really do this work inside, you'll learn how to earn a living. I mean this. All of these things are part of growth. And I would never stop anybody if they don't pay money, but it's a little sad to me that after years time people come here and they don't make a contribution. And their contribution is not going to change my life. It'll change their life. They will get strong enough to be able to do something like that. To attend a class like this, which is like living miracle, these classes, what people learn and what happens to them through coming to these classes. And that's back to your question about doing enough. You know, how much can you do to grow? What I had to do in Rudy's house, you couldn't believe, from cleaning toilets to cooking breakfast for 20 people every morning to, you know, scraping fire escapes and cleaning out lofts. And I mean, it was endless. And I, you know, at first I had a lot of resistance. And then I said, Stuart, no, this human being has saved your life. This human being has given you a connection with God. There is nothing enough that you can't do for him. Including going to Denton, Texas and spending 9 years in a place I never really wanted to live. But doing it to the ultimate of my capacity and then say, there's nothing else I can do here. It's time to move on. Giving just about everything away that I built in 9 years. Maybe I'm crazy, I don't know. But it certainly enabled me to continue very deep spiritual practice and to learn how to surrender in such depth that the only thing that was important to me ever was to get to God. I hope this is clear to all of you. You know, I'm not trying to berate you. I'm trying to say, hey, grow up. What's
Excuse me,
important?
if I can say, use this media to say something, if I'm allowed to say something. You were talking about giving, and I don't really think we do enough here. And I would like to ask if I can use this media to ask people to contribute some help to find you a center.
Well, Ofer, I asked that last time, and you sent me, I think there were two people that sent me anything, and I was very grateful to receive those. And we went to look at some of those houses, and you're right, people have to contribute. They have to, okay, get inspired. Thank you. And I was so grateful for when I got that from you. And look, you've been coming to 3 of my classes here, and you live in Australia, for God's sake. And you came up with these things. And it came from your heart, and it came with a lot of gratitude. And I was like, wow, this is really something.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody contact me, and I'm happy if you're happy to give away my email address, and they can contact me, and together we
Also,
collaborate.
Isabel is involved in this. So, you and Isabel and whoever else. Okay? She's doing an incredible job. I mean, she found this house where I'm staying, for God's sake, It's just a beautiful place. And we also talked about it for possibly renting this place for a year at a time, It's a very beautiful house. A lot of space. But I appreciate it, Ofer. And, be in touch with Isabel, and anyone else can get in touch with you and Isabel. And I would really appreciate that.
No worries.
Does anyone else have a question?
Stuart, it's Claudia. I've been working with my cousin who's 83, and we've been working together because she lost her brother recently, and I've been finding.
You're not teaching her this meditation, Claudia.
No, I am getting to a question. Sorry. So what's been coming up for me is I've started to be facing my own parents' deaths, and I haven't been trying to do that, but it's coming up, and I don't want to be devoured by it. I just wonder what you have to say about it. It's like a
What I have to say about it is that we all have to face that every day of our lives. And instead of being intimidated and threatened by it, embrace it. Just open to it. Learn from what it has to teach you. No longer be afraid of it, because it really is no different. Life and death are one and the same thing. So if you open and you embrace it, and you say, okay, what are you teaching me about what I have to do to get closer to God? You'll learn an enormous amount about your spiritual growth, about your inner life. I mean, death is one of the great tests of every human being. We all have to do it one day. I told the story 1,000 times. What set me on a spiritual path was my father's death. When he was, 49 years old, he was a young man. And, the last 15 minutes of his life, I saw him, there was this deep sense of serenity and surrender and depth. And the whole room was full of light. And I was a 16-year-old kid. And I'd never seen anything like that before. And then his nurse tells me, just to her experience, just before people leave the world, they go into this profound state of serenity. And I said to myself, why did he have to wait 49 years to get this 15 minutes before he is leaving the world? There has to be something of a higher nature that I have to find in my life. And that set me on my path. And years later, I thought back about it. I said, yeah, my father was my first great teacher. He was my first great teacher. And he was sent to me by God to teach me this. And to really, it was like, get me moving on a spiritual path. I was 16 years old. So death is not something to be afraid of. It's teaching us that, first of all, we're not immortal. Everything in this world is transient. It's all an illusion. And the only thing that has any permanence is the soul. And the connection the soul has with the soul of the universe. So, in your relationship with your, I don't know, your cousin or whatever, approach it this way. Here's an opportunity for me to overcome my fear of death.
I thought I had worked through it, but that was an illusion with my own parents.
Well, it's not an illusion, Claudia, because obviously you have the fear. It's coming up, and now you can get free of it.
Yeah.
You can learn how to, really get strong enough that you can, instead of being afraid of this thing, you can embrace it. It's going to happen to all of us anyway, right?
Yeah.
One day. I always kid around. Nobody's alive here from the 17th century, At least in the form they had in the 17th century.
No, believe me, I am embracing it. And thank you for reminding me of all that.
Oh, bless you, Claudia. You're growing very well. And this is part of your growth, what you're experiencing now. Just get strong enough to embrace it, and it'll take you very, very far in your inner work.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question you would like to ask? Okay, God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you for these questions, and thank you for forcing me to go to such depth in myself that these kinds of answers come. It's not me talking, it's a higher energy that really is talking. So bless you all in all humility. I am very grateful that we do this and that I see you all and we work together like this. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on Monday, tomorrow. Listen, next Thursday, I'm not going to have a class for this. I'll be traveling, but there'll be a class tomorrow and Wednesday, and then the following Sunday. So God bless you and thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Thank you, Stuart.
Good night, Stuart. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you. Good night.